As the successor to the 159, the Alfa Romeo Giulia has quite a job on its hands. Not only is it the famous Italian firm's first model on its new modular platform expected to spawn an SUV along with a Golf-sized hatchback over the next few years, but it's also charged with rescuing a company that has found its sails firmly in the doldrums. To do that, this attractive four-door saloon is going to have to win the hearts and minds not only of loyal fans put off by the lackluster Mito and Giulietta, but steal new sales from an established and hotly competitive sector that includes well-known cars such as the BMW 3 Series, Mercedes-Benz class, Audi A4 and of course the British entrant, the Jaguars. Has to appeal to business drivers and driving enthusiasts. The key to selling bulk in this marketplace is to break into the company car park by appealing to fleet managers, and on the face of it that's what Alfa has done here. The Giulia is available with a 2.1-liter diesel engine that emits 109 gkm of CO2 in both 150 horsepower and 180 horsepower outputs, qualifying it for the sub-130 gkm write-down allowance to get onto fleet lists and making for relatively low BIC tax for the drivers too. But it's about more than numbers. An Alfa Romeo should be an emotional thing. So we're pleased to say this is also one of the best cars in its class to drive, a true return to form. It has quick, precise steering and 50 hours 50 minutes weight distribution that makes the car feel far more involving than nearly anything else of its size, while its all-new engine lineup aims to provide excitement as well as low running costs. Its lightweight architecture helps in both respects, keeping fuel economy high and handling exciting. We did find a few wrinkles, however. No car is perfect, and it's a way behind the class leaders when quality of cabin materials and performance of multimedia system are taken into account. It'll only seat 4 adults too, and the boot is an awkward shape for larger items. Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio leaves rivals in its wake. There's a hot version of this new car too, and it's quite a thing. Developing a massive 503 bhp from its Ferrari drive 2.9-liter V6 twin-turbocharged petrol engine, it demolishes 062 miles per hour in 3.9 seconds and hits 191 miles per hour flat out. We go into more detail about this car including its clever chassis in the driving section of this review, but unfortunately we only got one lap of an unfamiliar racetrack to form an opinion. So we'll refrain until we've tried it again for longer, perhaps in the UK, against its equally impressive rivals such as the Mercedes-AMG C63, the BMW M3 and even potential new performance models in the shape of the Jaguars R and Audi RS4. In the meantime you can read what our sister publication Car thought about it here. The verdict: firstly, congratulations are due to Alfa Romeo for building such a convincing executive saloon. In diesel and petrol forms, it looks good, drives superbly, and should prove economical to run on the company. Considering the strength of its rivals, this is quite an achievement. It's hard not to love the Giulia QV. It drives superbly, sounds brilliant and looks great compared with its most immediate German rivals. Aside from a few interior niggles, a slightly dated feeling infotainment system and a less-than perfect image of its dealer network, this is a car that really stacks up. At the moment, it gets a thumbs up from us, an Alfa Romeo you can buy with the head, as well as the heart. Whether that changes once the Jaguars R and Audi RS4 come on stream, well, wait and see. But for now, buy, enjoy and savor this most convincing of super saloons. At launch, with the finance packages on offer, it was actually an expensive option. We're surprised at this considering Alfa Romeo says the Giulia should be a low depreciator, so you will need to think long and hard about how much you want to stand out from the crowd. Read on for our full Alfa Romeo Giulia review to see whether it goes to the top of the executive class. The engine options include a pair of efficient diesels, a 197 bhp petrol and a fire-breathing 2.9-liter twin-turbocharged petrol in the Quadrifoglio performance model. No manual gearbox at all for UK right-hand drive cars, however. All use an 8-speed automatic gearbox that switches its gears quickly and smoothly without ever getting caught out between ratios. We appreciated the shift paddles too. They're located on the steering column rather than the wheel, just like a Ferrari. Every car gets Alfa's DNA switch as well. This allows you to adjust throttle response between dynamic sharper, normal default and advanced efficiency duller for better fuel economy. This rotary switch is conveniently positioned by the gear lever and easy to use without having to look down. Diesel power in the Alfa Romeo Giulia. The sole diesel engine is an all-new aluminum 2.1-liter, 4-cylinder unit with 148 bhp and 380 Nm of torque, or 178 bhp and 450 Nm depending on your requirements. It'll be available with an 8-speed automatic gearbox only, accelerating from 0-62 miles per hour in 8.2 seconds for the low-powered version and 7.1 seconds for the high-powered one. We've currently only driven the more powerful of these engines and can confirm it's smooth enough, but considering how recently it was developed, we were surprised how noisy it is. The Giulia's petrol performance. While most UK buyers will plump for the diesel, we preferred the 2-liter petrol engine to drive. It's keen to rev, sounds more interesting, and it's smoother and better to drive. The obvious penalty will be on fuel economy, but if you're doing lots of short journeys and not many miles per year, then you might be surprised how level the playing field is once you've factored in the car's purchase price. Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. By far the fastest version of the Giulia is the awkwardly named Quadrifoglio model, Italian for cloverleaf. This is powered by a Ferrari-driven twin-turbocharged V6 petrol engine developing 503 bhp and 600 Nm of torque at 2,500 revolutions per minute. That's enough for a 0-62 miles per hour dash in 3.9 seconds and a top speed of 191 miles per hour, roundly beating all of its rivals. Unlike left-hand drive markets, the Giulia Quadrifoglio will only be available with an 8-speed, specially calibrated automatic gearbox. It works as well as you'd expect, rifling through the gears with ferocity. It's a monstrously quick car from what we've gleaned so far from one lap around an unfamiliar circuit, so we'll look forward to testing it more thoroughly when we get our hands on it in the UK. This is one area where the Giulia shines. It's a very balanced car with a huge amount of grip and steering that lets you know lots about what is happening under the front wheels. Its rear-wheel drive like all its rivals bar the Audi A4, and that's one reason it's so rewarding to drive. Turn the steering wheel and you'll be surprised at first by how responsive it is. It doesn't take much of a twist for the front wheels to follow suit, but after a minute or two you learn to anticipate it and then you'll fall in love. The suspension offers a brilliant blend of compliance and cornering performance. Unlike most new cars we drive, there's no adaptive damping even as an option on the non-Quadrifoglio car. It's simply set up properly. It's for this reason that the Giulia is class-leading in terms of engaging handling. Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio handling. The performance version of Alfa's Saloon gets further handling enhancements, with a torque vectoring system on the rear axle that uses a pair of clutches to control how much of the engine's output is sent to either side of the car. The effect is to improve traction when approaching the limits of the tire's adhesion for a more controllable character when driving quickly. Other extras on this hot Alfa Romeo include a race mode for the DNA switch that adjusts the rear differential and stability control systems for high-performance driving, optional bucket seats to keep you hemmed in, and carbon ceramic brakes for optimum stopping power. We've only driven this car with the optional brakes for one lap of the firm's proving ground test track, so didn't get a true feel for the car, but clearly it has some talent. There's a neutral balance, the steering remains excellent, grip reserves are high, and when they run out, the rear end becomes playful with judicious application of throttle. There are some good bits about the Giulia's cabin, and some that lag behind the competition. Audi, BMW, Jaguar and Mercedes-Benz all build quality interiors, so this is a difficult battle to win, and the Alfa Romeo entrant falls short mainly on minutiae. Some of the plastics around common touchpoints, such as surrounding the gear lever, and some of the switch gear itself like the rotary multimedia controller, feel cheaper than we've become accustomed to in this sector. We like the 8.8-inch screen's integration into the sweeping dash, but wished it was touch-controlled as well as by the rotary dial, which incidentally also looks like it has a touchpad like the German rivals, but alas not, its shiny top fooled us. The graphics on the Sat-Nav and the size and resolution of the display all feel old already, which is a shame considering how stylish the Giulia is on the outside. It's the same with the screen between Speedo and Rev Counter. It just feels a few years behind. But all that accepted, it's a well-designed interior that looks great. We'd suggest going for a leather-covered dash as opposed to the soft-touch plastic also on offer. It looks £1,000,000 in comparison. We also preferred the classic Motoriat wood trim from the luxury pack to the aluminium finishing on the sports pack. It seems to suit the Giulia style a little better. A bit of a mixed bag here. The Alfa Romeo tuned suspension is sportier than some rivals, and that means while it's not crashy, it can seem firm over sharp speed bumps and particularly poor road surfaces. The lack of adaptive dampers doesn't help here, but we think the overall balance is so good we'll forgive its stiff ride. The cabin is remarkably well insulated, however, with very little engine or road noise intruding. You'll notice some wind whistling around the door mirrors at motorway speeds, and if you work the engines hard, particularly the diesels, you'll hear a little more from them than you'd perhaps appreciate. With the 2-liter petrol this isn't much of an issue because it sounds interesting, but the diesel motor doesn't. We thought the seats were supportive and comfortable, which helps the Giulia feel a little more premium. There are 3 basic trim levels on offer: Standard Giulia, Super and Quadrifoglio, along with luxury and sport packs to further improve the specification of your car. Standard Alfa Romeo Giulia equipment base spec cars are simply known as Giulia and include an 8-speed automatic gearbox, 16-inch alloy wheels, daytime running lights, LED tail lamps, dual-zone climate control, cruise control, Alfa's Connect multimedia system and the DNA driving mode selector switch. Moving up to Super secures you 17-inch alloys, part leather fabric seats, paddle shifters on the steering wheel to control the gearbox and different interior trim. The petrol-only, supercar quick Quadrifoglio model gets a 2.9-liter V6 petrol along with a special body kit for better aerodynamic performance. In addition there are 19-inch alloys, Bixenon headlights, sports seats covered in leather and Alcantara, a sports steering wheel including a red power button and DNA Pro, which adds a race mode. This version also gets uprated brakes and torque vectoring, which uses brakes to tighten a cornering line if wheel slip is anticipated as standard to help the chassis make best use of all the power. Optional Alfa Romeo Giulia accessories. There are 2 options packs available on the regular Giulia. In the luxury pack you get full-grain leather seats, power adjustment for the heated front seats, wood interior detailing, chrome effect styling tweaks and xenon headlights. The Sport Pack on the other hand is only available on the Super trim, and includes a sports steering wheel, aluminium trim and xenon headlights. You can upgrade your Quadrifoglio with performance kits such as lighter carbon fiber bucket seats and carbon ceramic disc brakes. There's a decent amount of safety equipment installed on the Giulia. It hasn't been tested by Euro NCAP at this point, though the signs are that it'll fare relatively well. Standard safety kit includes a forward collision warning system, low-speed automatic braking and lane departure warning. Moving up the trim structure nets use xenon headlights with a cornering function to enable you to see around the corner quicker than conventional straight beams, and optional features include adaptive cruise control and blind spot monitoring. In addition to all that, the Giulia Quadrifoglio gets torque vectoring, the braking of wheels to prevent wheel slip in corners, and uprated brakes with the option to specify carbon ceramic ones at extra cost. The boot measures 480 liters, and it does have a decent-sized opening for a saloon car, but the shape of the aperture is such that larger items will foul around 3/4 of the way to the rear seats as luggage space makes way for wheel arches. There's plenty of room in the cabin for 4 people, with 6-footers able to sit fore and aft simultaneously, but forget transporting 5. The transmission tunnel means the poor 5th occupant will be chewing their kneecaps for the entire journey.